Hello, how's it going? I'm Dylan. I love horror movies, as I think all should. I love turning on a movie and knowing that somebody will get torn up or there will be a violent spirit appear. It's just always really comforting. So whether you're looking for a good scary movie to watch or you're a longtime horror fan and want to compare your views to mine, I think this will be a fun video. So yesterday during work, just off the top of my head, I made up a list of horror movies I can remember. And I'm going to go over the brilliant ones and the really bad ones. Just to make sure you've seen it, let's start super strong. The Exorcist, S tier for sure. It's over here all by itself, so you know it's special. Even before I got really into horror movies, I knew that it was one of the best scary movies ever. Might scare some people, but overall I just enjoy the aura of it. Next, Candyman, a recent watch for me. We're gonna put this one at a B. It's one of the few scary movies I've seen where like a social issue is like a main point of the story. It makes for an interesting story, but also really like just the character of the Candyman. He has kind of like a magical trance-like effect over his victims, which makes him feel really powerful when he appears. Let's go back in time again for another classic, The Omen. This is the movie that made me realize how much I really like when horror movie characters have to go like research or like have to go travel to ancient lands. I'll put it at a B, but it's pretty close to an A, honestly. What interests me is I want to like research religion because of how deep the lore is and just how impactful it's been throughout human history. So movies that implement that really get me engaged very well. This next movie is not fully horror, but has elements to it. Sleepy Hollow by Tim Burton. Top tier. I watched this movie like 3 times in 1 year, and it's one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. And for some reason, every time I see Christopher Walken in a Tim Burton movie, it like throws me off. He's in a couple of them and he just feels out of place, kind of. Love watching that movie though. Next, Jeepers Creepers. I really like the feel of this movie. I recommend it, but I'm gonna put it at a C. It's just a strong middle ground for sure. I do want a vehicle like that though, be eating you. And the corpse lair under the church is pretty epic. Hellraiser. I tried so hard to have this movie be my like absolute favorite scary movie. Before I watched it, everything leading up to it, I was just so involved. I wanted to love it so hard. I was prepared to become absolutely obsessed with it. But ultimately, Hellraiser, I had to put it at a B. It is one of the most unique movies on this list. Maybe I was just too tired when I watched it. Let's do 2 like thrillers next. Both kind of similar in the stories they have. First is Seven. Putting this one in an A. Could fit kind of well in S, but I'm going to keep it A because the next one is S tier for me. A good amount of gruesomeness and just a good psychological aspect to it. I just rewatched it again last night. It's going to be one I keep rewatching throughout my life. Now this next one is similar to Seven, but it's like a step above in my opinion. The Ninth Gate. It's not really a scary movie, but the themes of trying to summon the devil, I think that at least qualifies it to be talked about when you're talking about horror movies. I watched The Ninth Gate for the first time a couple weeks ago, and it's still in my mind pretty strong. And I already want to watch it again, so I know that when I want to rewatch a movie soon after I watch it, it's a top tier one. Here's one of the first big franchises, Halloween. I'll watch this movie again within a week, so if I change my mind after I post this video, I'll put it in the description. But the original Halloween, I'm putting it at a B. Alright, here we go. I think it's my favorite horror movie right here. The top of the S tier, House of 1000 Corpses. Everything I want from a horror movie is found in this movie. Rob Zombie grew up on classic horror, so he knew exactly what to put in. Like, the movie is the perfect embodiment of like a haunted house attraction. If you enjoy brutalness, I say that movie. I'm just going to include this next movie to warn you about it. Gothica, I think it just barely qualifies as a horror movie. I'm going to put it at a C. It's not good, it's not bad. The only thing I liked about it is for some reason I have like a connection to the mental asylum part. For some reason I like the vibe of just psych asylums and it just hits right. Here's another one that I'm going to put kind of low at a C. The classic Psycho. It's a really good murderer movie, I'd say, and it's good for its time. But maybe I just don't appreciate classics enough. I guess next, let's do Night of the Living Dead. I'm going to put that in A. I like apocalypse movies a lot. And honestly, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't been overexposed to like zombie stuff, so I still like it. Alright, The Crow. Not really a horror movie, but it qualifies. He uses his goth power to rise from the dead. I love The Crow, the whole vibe of it. And I respect Bruce Lee, so of course this son I'm going to always dig. It's close to an S, but I'm going to put it A just because of all the other movies I have on S. Alright, next, this one gets so much slander. The Blair Witch Project. For me, it scares me. Like on this list, The Blair Witch Project scares me more than anything. When I'm thinking of a movie that truly scares me, The Blair Witch Project is the first one to come up. It embodies everything that I fear the most, like isolation and just feeling hopelessness alone. Like I just remember the feeling of it and I'm getting chills right now. So even though it terrifies me, S tier. Let me chill out real quick, I'm getting like goosebumps. Some people really like this next movie. It's a nope for me. The movie is Nope. I'm gonna put it at a D. It's just way too long and it's not really that spectacular to me. There are only 3 moments in the whole movie that stand out to me at all. The brutalness of the chimpanzee was pretty epic, honestly. The crowd getting eaten alive did scare me in the theaters. And then the image of the blood raining on the White House will live in my memory for a long time. But pretty much when those moments were happening, I didn't connect to the movie at all. Let's do another one that I kind of hate. This is the lowest ranking movie on this list. The original Chucky, bottom tier. In the past couple of years, it's literally the only horror movie I haven't finished once I started watching it. Chucky is my least favorite horror villain of all time. Now let's bring back up the chair, Nightmare on Elm Street. I really like this movie. I'll put it at A. has like a good mysticism to it. Continuing with big franchises, I'll put Scream at A2. The Scream franchise was the first horror movies that I really got into. I remember watching a bunch of them on Netflix when I was probably like 13 or 14. Around the same time I started to get into The Walking Dead, so it kind of works out as my beginnings of horror. This next franchise feels kind of similar, but it's like a lot worse. I Know What You Did Last Summer, putting it at a D. Like the villain is cool, but overall, wasn't into it. Next, the first Friday the 13th. I don't know if I missed something. The main villain wasn't who I started watching to see, so let's put it at C tier. Alright, the last couple. This is kind of a random one, but My Bloody Valentine. It's a good horror movie to watch in February, but not October. I'll give it a C also. Alright, the final movie. I won't leave you hanging. S tier for this one. Ginger Snaps. I really like the beginning characters of the sisters. Their relationship and the way they interact with each other are spectacular. I want to be like the younger sister, Bridget. From this point on, she was my framework for who I am. Although it did not end as I thought it would, I still want to rewatch it already. So there we go. That was 23 horror movies. Most of them I watched within a year ago. And then except for one, the rest I've watched within a couple years. Discovering how much I really loved horror movies was like one of the biggest revelations of my adult life. My obsession with them is still developing, which I look forward to. Overall in my life, it feels like I've just started to live my life as I want to and start to experience the things I really enjoy and love. So I'm not really that upset right now about living. Thank you for watching this video. I'll try to make more videos about these topics in the future. And we're not even halfway through October yet, so I think I still have 1 or 2 videos to put out for this month like this. So it's going to be a good rest of October and fall and year of watching horror movies. Goodbye.